Good morning, boys and girls, and welcome back to the southern wing of the Stink Bug Works. Before you today is the H&M Micro Shovel. We're getting really close to running this thing. Now, the build philosophy for this thing was a cheap motor, cheap power system, keep it as simple as possible, keep it as light as possible. And to that end, I found something really cool, and it works just really bitchin'. Check this out. These are vented socket screws, and they look like normal sockets, except when you look at them, there's a hole that runs all the way through them. And they were originally intended for venting certain things in vacuum chambers where they're held together with these screws, and you want to vent that out. And so they put holes through these screws. Well, we all know the little ubiquitous 52 millimeter rudder, but I want you to see how this hollow bolt works. So there's a hollow bolt holding this side of the bracket in place, and through that hollow bolt is a 32 thousandths wire. I bent it at this end so that when it's in its full left deflection, it doesn't want to crash. So this end sort of fixed. My quick connect is kind of at an angle like that, and that's what I want. I want the wire sort of tangent to that rather than coming from the center. And so all the adjustments here, it's just a straight wire. The servo is just glued in place with the equivalent of goop. I've got some other stuff, but it's the same stuff as goop. So the servo's glued in. The speed control will just get a Velcro, and it will be one of the things I move around to balance the thing. I'm not sure what battery I'm going to use. I have some 1800s that I use in the 120th scale boats, the Atlas and the Short Circuit, and so they would probably be ideal for this. 1800 milliamp will give me long runtime. I put the turn fin on. I put a turn fin on, and something I learned about this boat, there's not a whole lot of flat real estate on the back of these sponsons. And the bracket that I used for this is bigger than necessary. So I'm going to take a piece of angle. Maybe I'll take this square tube and cut an angle out of it and make a different bracket, because what happens here is it's so close to the bottom of the sponson that the bracket would almost, not quite, almost touch the water. So I may make a new bracket, and I'll use the same bolt holes and just move it up. Now, these are 10 millimeter bolts, not the ones with the holes in them, holding this thing in, and they didn't even come through the fiberglass in here. When I drilled the pilot hole for the tap, I did just barely break the surface. But I think what I'm going to do is, since the screws don't stick out of the inside of the the sponson here, I'll just go put a drop of epoxy on those holes and close them up. And that way I don't have the fear. If I run batteries down here in the sponsons, I'm not planning to do that right now, but should I run batteries in the sponsons, that would keep them from hitting the ends of the screws. That would be bad. So there you go, boys and girls. Oh, some of the thinking on this servo with this thin wire. The thin wire under compression may flex a little bit, but that's only in a left turn, and you don't turn left very often with a hydro. And if you do, you're not at full tilt boogie anyway. So in tension, this thing tends to stay straight. It's not an airtight seal from this rod to the hole in the bolt. I may get a larger diameter rod, but I will put plenty of grease on here. So the grease will help keep water out, and any water that gets in there is going to be no more than a drop or two. And really, that should only be when the thing's sitting still, with its butt in the water. Once it's moving, shouldn't be an issue. So there you go. A quick update on the build along with Jet. Oh, here's another thing. You're thinking, Jet, why did you put the servo way up there? Why didn't you move it back here? Because it crashes with this non-trip. So I've got the servo right here where it's, kind of glued to the floor. If I move it back this way, it moves the servo over. And I didn't want to flip it because then it's too hard to get at. I used a hex nut for the mounting bolt so I can get an Allen wrench. In there to get it. And then this is at an angle where I can get it with a screwdriver. So there you go. It's darn near ready to rock and roll. Until next time, boys and girls, Jet out. Good morning, boys and girls, and welcome to today's added bonus feature. I am out here at beautiful Lake Poway. I have right rudder, I have left rudder, I have motor. We're going to test run the T3. And if all goes, and it does not have slow tape on it. If all goes according to plan, the next stop will be the paint shop. Ooh, I need a whole bunch of trim. Turns better now. Needs a ton of left trim. You like smooth water. Chop it. It bounces a bit. Oh shit. Come on. Do not do that. It's not supposed to do that. That could be a problem. Jet out. Well, a quick post-mortem on the T3. I got a little water that came in through the antenna. It filled up this side while it was upside down. Wasn't bad. When I paint it, I'll make sure that that's plugged up with some manner or fashion. Other than that, it seemed to run pretty good, other than the fact that I flipped it. It took an awful lot of left trim, but I'm looking at my rudder and it's pretty straight, so it may be an adjustment up here at the control horn. So stand by for the Cobra 450. Jet out. Okay, boys and girls, here we go one more time. The M450 Cobra. I had problems with this boat from the get-go, and it traced it down to a loose motor wire. I thought it was speed control, but it was a loose motor wire. Now I have motor. This is the boat that sells for 130 bucks on Banggood. Just as is. This is bone stock. Oh, I put a different turn pin on, because the one that was on there looked kind of flimsy. But it gets with the program. That's 130 bucks at Banggood. Self-righting. But then after it self-rights, I have no power. I wonder if I unplug the battery. I wonder if I pull the motor wire out. Oh, for Christ's sake. Oh, for crying out loud. I don't see rudder movement. I have no motor. Jet out. Well, boys and girls, here's the post-mortem on this. I think this boat is jinxed. One of my motor wires, this one right here, was a little bit loose, and when I wiggle things around, I seem to run on 2 of 3 phases on the motors. So I don't know, this motor may be toast. So maybe I'll put in the replacement motor I have. But you got to see it run. You see how it runs. It's not bad. Maybe it needs a new motor. Nah, gotta keep it cheap. I'll put that other cheap motor I have in it. Okay, until next time, jet out.